Right. Okay. So I'm doing this recording on so that you guys can actually see how to utilize this introduction to advanced first aid. So it serves both as an instructor guide and also as what you need to do on Friday's training. Okay. So actually, I've created a few slides. Actually, not a lot, just a few, because you might need to cover two slide decks actually. One is the introduction to advanced first aid, which is basically what they need to do for the next 10 weeks or so. The other is actually the casualty assessment procedure. I'll explain to you a little bit later why we need to do this primary and secondary survey. Okay, so basically what you need to do when you're doing this introduction slide decks with them is to go through with them in these slides. Okay, for example, this is the objective for them to clear the advanced first aid lessons by term 1. We should finish all topics by term 1, and we'll conduct an internal test by end of term 1. You all know that in last year, Zone has actually conducted the so-called first aid and home nursing course, and then after that, the second day is an examination. That will happen also this year in term 2. So we are now trying to prepare the cadets towards BFA and EFA ready for certifications. So completion of the zone exam will certify them as a first aider. They will get that small little cert that will be given to all first aiders, so that when they go for public duty, they can actually use this cert, which is to certify them that they are qualified first aiders and can respond to a emergency. Okay, the next slide will tell you about the topics you need to cover. So there are the topics here, 2, 4, 6, 7, 7 of them. Okay, this one I don't think there's much to explain to them. So the next thing you have to conduct to them is how the lessons are going to be run. Okay, as I've mentioned during the first training, okay, I won't say even first training, the one before on Wednesday itself where I met with you all, they need to read the allocated slide decks before they can attend the lesson. Okay, you need to direct them to the advanced NCO course, sorry, not advanced course, NCO course website, where they will have the uh, PowerPoints located, and then basically get them to read those. So whatever you see the topics, as example, disorder respiratory systems, which is involved in here, those you have to read. So based on the schedule, what lessons you're going to teach, use it from there. Now I know it is something. Okay, I'm going to digress a bit, but I know that it is possible that you all may not be able to complete all the training in one day. You may need to stretch. I've actually planned 3 buffered trainings that in the event that you need to spill over, you will have to still spill over. That being said, we need to try to make sure that there's a balance between spill over versus reaching to the point where we need to spill over to term 2 or even end of term 2. Um, and also to also make sure that we don't rush through the training to the point that they may not even understand what the topic is about. Okay. Now you all need to be careful because the ambulance team which is going to the FAC competition, right? They do not have additional AFA training. They're going to rely on your AFA training, which means that if you don't finish this in term 1, likelihood they'll go for the competition without completing their AFA topic. So you need to be careful about that area. Okay. Now after that, they will attend. Okay, so let's say this reading is done beforehand. Now, the next thing they need to do is you guys need to provide this quiz. Okay, the quiz topics. Okay, basically I'll show you some of the sample quiz later. You all can go and I did 1 or 2 questions, but you guys will need to create more questions. So I think it's about 10 to 15 questions. Quick one, multiple choice, and then let them do. If they fail, I think you probably can do it 1 or twice, so that those who fails, right, at least get a chance to try again. This is 2 ways. I'm not meant to fail them, but it's meant to make sure that they have actually read through what they have, make sure they have read through and also understand what they are supposed to know of those slides. Okay, so after the quick quiz, we'll make them do sample cases. Okay, a bit more about sample cases later. I'll talk about it, and then the improve on the feedbacks given and try again if they need to. Those who really cannot do those cases, if they need to redo. Okay. Now, so for example, a sample quiz that can look like something like this. See, when casualty is choking, he's unable to speak, breathe, cough, all the above, none of the above, 1 and 3 only. Okay. The answer is actually all of the above. Okay. I think quite common sense. It's also part of the slide deck. Just have to pick it up from the slide deck. So I don't expect questions to be like too hard. Okay. Example of a very hard case. I think the hardest will be just the last example. So we'll see that slightly later. So another one could be like this. See, casualty has the following symptoms. They have mark around the neck, impart consciousness, red spots in the white of the eyes, grey blue skin. What can he be suffering from? Strangling, hangling, drowning, hyperventilation, all of the above, none of the above. Okay. If you realize what I'm trying to do is there's different formats of questioning because the answer is actually hanging or strangling. That's why you have marks on the neck. Normally, people who have been strangled will have impart consciousness because they probably almost blacked out because of the lack of oxygen. This too is very common when you get hanging and strangling. So it can be more than one answer if you want to make it slightly more complicated or slightly more difficult for them because they must really know what they're having. Or you can also have those all of the above or none of the above so that they can pick it up, like at least one. But you see, if you do 4, means they have 25% chance of getting the answer correct by playing tikam. Okay, like guessing, which you're trying to reduce. Okay. Okay, this is one that I would say is probably hard because, like for example, why is it important to know how long duration that a casualty has been crushed under by a heavy object? So is it to determine if the casualty is able to tolerate pain? It is to determine if removing the object will release toxin buildups in their blood system. It is to reassure the casualty or none of them. Okay, the answer is actually 2. Okay, it's to determine if removing the object will release toxin buildup. Okay, because when you press against your body, okay, let's say a heavy object now lies onto your arm. Like for example, in a car accident, when the car crashes and you get crushed against the frame of the body of the car, what happens is that very quickly because of the cut off of blood, those areas will actually start to die off actually, no matter how okay, it may not be very severe, but it's still possible. Okay, that the crush victim may actually have areas of the body being decomposed. Now, this decomposing component, okay, no matter how quick, it's very simple. When you cut off blood supply 1-2 minutes, okay, decomposition starts to happen because that part is dead. Okay, now it is possible that because it's cut off, the toxin buildup is only isolated to the area that has been pressed against. Okay, once you open up, okay, all the blood vessels gets opened up again, it starts pushing it through. Now, once it starts pushing it through, it actually can flush the toxins build up in the blood systems and go right back up to the heart, which can actually cause a heart attack or infection of the heart, which can cause death. So it is important to know when's duration. You can actually ask the question, how long? For example, less than 10 minutes, you can remove. More than 10 minutes, you have to wait. Because if it's more than 10 minutes, highly likely you need to amputate to prevent this toxin buildup from being flushing back to the heart. Okay. Now, the other thing you have to also take note is also the sample case. Okay. Now, if you see in sample case, I actually don't put anything here because I need you to refer to the casualty assessments slide deck. Okay. Now, before you go through this slide, right, I suggest you go through here, which is the expectation. Now, I expect the cadets to be serious in lessons and when they're doing their case. Okay, we should not have situations where the people are joking. Cadets are joking. Like I think during the BFA, there was some feedback saying that the cadets were laughing and joking around. Probably they had some internal joke before that. Now, I give you the right, okay, to ask them go out, knock it down 20, and come back in. But I caution you the usage of this because it can be more counterintuitive